Hello and welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and on this review, we're taking a look at a new statue from Diamond Select. This one is Guardians of the Galaxy, as in the movie Guardians of the Galaxy. Today, we're taking a look at Starlord. This is a resin mini bust. I think it's going to measure at about maybe 5 to 6 inches tall when it's out of the packaging here. But admittedly, I'm going to just pull back completely. You'll see the outskirts of my setup here. This box is massive. And as a point of reference, just to show you guys here, this is my Samsung S21 Plus, and you can see it's a pretty big phone, and this box is equally huge. So let's talk about this packaging real quick before we get our Star-Lord out of there. And up top, we've got ourselves the classic movie Guardians of the Galaxy logo. We've got an image of the statue, which we're going to be taking a look at the statue a lot more in detail in a moment, so I'm not going to bother showing you that. Star-Lord logo on the bottom. On each of the sides here, we have an image of the statue, and I think it's going to be basically the same thing, just from the opposite side on this part here. And then on the back of the box, we've got ourselves another image of Star-Lord. There is no bio for the character, because all the resin busts that Diamond does, they don't really include bios for the resin ones for whatever reason. But we do have some more production notes about the piece here. More importantly, it lets us know that this bust is limited to 1,000 pieces total, and it was designed by Nelson X Asensio and sculpted by Juan Ramos, who we've seen those two guys do a lot together, and their work never disappoints. So that's the packaging. Otherwise, nothing too crazy here. Typical black resin box. There's a little bit of cosmic stuff going on in the background to kind of help it stand out a little bit. So I do appreciate that they're adding a little bit more design into their statue boxes lately for the resins, because normally they'll just be like a solid color, nothing else. But I will compliment them. For the past few statues I've been looking at in the resin lineups that are more recent, they've been doing a lot more detail with this to help them really add some context, make them stand out, and just overall look a whole lot cooler. So that's the box, but yeah, you obviously are not here to watch this video to learn about the box. So let's go ahead and get our Star-Lord out of the packaging and take a closer look at him from all angles. And here he is, out of the box, all dressed up and ready to go. This is Star-Lord. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick rotation so you guys can see the statue from all different angles as promised, while I give you my initial thoughts on the piece. And up front, it's looking very strong. This looks like it's going to be another really good piece. I'm seeing a lot of excellent attention to detail, a lot of variety of textures, some interesting design elements to help really make this thing all tie together. And it feels like it's right out of the movie, which is exactly what you want to see with this kind of a piece. And the nice thing about this, as we're going to see as I start talking about it more so in detail, is, well, there's a few things missing that actually helps make it stronger. And I know that that sounds very cryptic, but you'll smell what I'm cooking momentarily. But otherwise, you can already see here, this is looking really nice top to bottom. A lot of great choices here. We're going to have fun talking about this piece here today. So as it finishes rotating, I also just want to hold my phone up one more time just to show you how it scales next to a Samsung S21. So you can see it's, not much bigger than that, in fact, which is kind of surprising. So, all right, with that said, let's go ahead and start diving into some of the finer details of our Star-Lord. And I want to start where I always prefer, and that's with the likeness. But hey, there's not really a likeness per se with our Star-Lord, because he's wearing his Reaver's mask. So yeah, there is no Chris Pratt likeness here, and that's actually probably kind of a good thing, because Diamond Select resin likenesses, usually they're very good, but they're not like perfect at 10s. They're more like maybe they'll range in like 7s to 8s typically. We've had a few that have dipped a little bit lower, but generally, they're not bad. They're still very good, don't get me wrong, but sometimes they don't really work as well as I'd like them to work. So I actually kind of prefer that this version has just the mask on, because really that mask is iconic. It's become iconic since the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, and yeah, it just looks cool. I mean, I think we could use the word toyetic here. I think that's fair, especially because when the movie came out, there was like people selling these. Toys R Us, I think, was still around back then, I want to say. Maybe they weren't, but I remember still seeing like the Star-Lord mask being sold in stores. So it's a very, very cool design, and it just looks excellent in this format here. It's like a little bit of Stormtrooper, a little bit of like classic 70s sci-fi with some modern elements. It's very retro, but still very modern and sleek at the same time. So it's just a great design. That's really just hats off to the original designers of the film for designing it that way. I'll give you a quick shot of the back of this as well. You can see more of the detail. There's some nice built-in weathering on the side, some scratches and some dents on his helmet or mask, whatever you want to call it. And there's the back with some more really cool design work there. You can see some of his hair also coming out the top. That's how you know we're in the future times, because you've got hair on top of the helmet, or space future times. I don't know, advanced technology, whatever you want to say. But yeah, only in Marvel Comics movies can you do something like that, where have a mask covering your face to go into space, but also have your hair showing. Because why not? It's Chris Pratt. But yeah, great work on that. 10 out of 10, I think, for the head, to be honest, because there's no likeness to even argue about. It's just the mask, and that mask, they nailed it. So let's go ahead and start moving down the piece a little more and just give you a quick look at the body. So most of it is covered in that red Reaver's jacket, which also looks amazing. We'll pull out a little bit to give you guys a better look at that right now. And I think that, once again, they really nailed the look of this piece here. The color is spot on, that dark crimson. There's a lot of nice weathering you can see as well. I'll show it to you from behind. Also, you can see more of that weathering, in fact. And the texture also is what really stands out, because there's a lot of just like this almost leather-like sculpt detail into it that makes it feel, and also makes light touch onto it, almost like it actually is leather. And then contrasting it, you have all these mechanical pieces here. Again, the back of his helmet, the shoulder pad, you've got the guns, of course, as well. We'll get to those. And then there's also these like just weird random sci-fi bits and baubles that are on his back too, which, you know, I don't know if they serve any purpose or not, but I'll give you guys a closer look at them just so you can really appreciate the detail. And not only that, just really absorb all that stitching. That, to me, is when you talk about detail, you're getting it right there. Like, the stitch work on this is crazy. And keep in mind that it's, you know, not actually stitched. This is sculpted. Somebody sculpted this, whether by hand or if it was by, you know, 3D app or whatever it could be. But yeah, a lot of cool design work went into this, and a lot of attention to detail. In fact, I'm going to actually pull this one back so you can see it's a little bit more light on it. Check out that really cool design work. And not only that, too, we've got buttons on this jacket. You can see a lot of buttons there as we kind of scroll up and get across to the front of the jacket. So tons of little details all over this piece. Lots of cool texture. Great work. Just, man, I could spend a lot of time just staring at the jacket because it's that cool. And, I mean, compared to what else there is to stare at as far as his body goes, yeah, otherwise we just have this gray shirt, which is just, you know, gray shirt. But actually, even the shirt kind of has a little bit of a rough texture, believe it or not. It's not just like the flat sculpt here. There actually is a bit of a rough texture on it that gives you something to kind of touch. It handles the paint a little bit differently. It actually does a lot, and it's hard for me to describe it because you really kind of need to actually touch it to kind of, I think, note the difference. In person, I think you can tell it a lot more. I don't know about how it's going to look on video. You guys let me know if you kind of see a difference with this fabric, but there definitely is a difference. And that's kind of the cool thing about this is really the smoothest parts of the statue would be the helmet, and then everything else that's organic really does have this kind of like life of its own, whether it be the fabric of the shirt, the leather of the jacket, or even the brief little bit at the top of his pants that we're seeing here. And by the way, there's his belt buckle, which is, man, that is so Star Wars-y to me now that I'm looking at it. I've never actually seen that belt buckle this close before, but that is just so retro sci-fi. It's like some Logan's Run stuff right there. All right, so let's talk about the blasters in his hands here. And I'm just going to show you this one for now. We'll use that as the main example, but we'll show you the other one momentarily too. They're the same, though. And I think even the blasters are pretty iconic now from Guardians of the Galaxy. They just look cool. These almost feel a bit like almost 80s sci-fi now. We're kind of going through a grand tour of sci-fi throughout history, but love the design of these. They're, again, very toyetic. And as far as the sculpture goes, they are sculpted beautifully. They're painted really, really nicely. Just loads of little tech details hiding all over them. But the coolest part is the fact that they are smoking. And you can see here there's this little like plume of smoke that insinuates that this blaster was just fired. And it's a tall, tall plume of smoke there. Look at the size of that thing. Here's my hand. My hands are small, so it's not like it's going to make that big of a difference, but you can kind of just get an idea of scale on those. So that is really cool. And again, just look at all that great detail in those hands. We'll show you the opposite side of that blaster as well, just so you can see the whole 9 yards of it. It looks great, it really does. If you're wondering why the color changes here, why it was just red, now it's this color, it's because it's actually just a very transparent kind of white, or off-white, really. So it allows light to kind of leak through it. That's why every time I change it, depending on the direction of what light it goes towards, it's going to change color as well. And that's the opposite hand. You could see, again, this other one here, really cool, lifelike plume of smoke coming in. More details on that blaster. Man, how pretty does that look? How great is that? And again, just for a point of reference, you can see it here, so I'm talking about, it's red over here, a little blue over here. That's just based on the lighting that I have currently with this statue. That's why he looks the way he does in this shot. So this is really great so far, and we can't, of course, forget the very last thing to talk about with this piece. That would be the base. And the base is nothing exciting, really, at all. Most of these resin busts, they will sometimes have bases with a little bit of personality, but oftentimes they don't. They just kind of have a kind of cylinder here, and that's fine. To be honest, like, you don't even see it for the most part. Like, the jacket's covering more than half of that base, I feel like. So, yeah, this is fine. It doesn't detract. It's just a perfect shade to kind of help funnel your eye back into the piece. So I'm not going to nitpick about it or complain about it. It's fine. It does the job, and that job is holding the statue upright. And by the way, also on the bottom of the base, you will see the number and edition of the statue, and that's going to also be found on the back of the packaging, as well as on the certificate of authenticity that comes with all of these statues. So overall review, not a bad thing to say about this piece. It's just a really, really, really amazing Starlord piece that I think anybody who loves Guardians of the Galaxies is going to want to have. Now that said, would it have been cool if maybe they had a magnetic Chris Pratt head to swap with it? Yeah, for sure, but you know the price of this thing would go way up. And this is already kind of an expensive piece because it's resin and also because it's only limited to 1,000 pieces. So I don't remember the price off the top of my head, but something this size, this scale, this limited, probably around the 200 mark, give or take. It could be a little bit less, might be a little bit more. I don't know if it is or isn't. I can't remember. But hey, the best way for you to check if you are interested in the statue is to use my affiliate links in the description of this video below. If you click on any of those links, they help support this YouTube channel, whether or not you buy this Starlord or something else. And I highly recommend you do check it out. Because, you know, there's been a few Starlord pieces from Diamond and from other people out there, but I think this is just a really solid one that kind of encapsulates the character, while also giving you a bit of action-packed storytelling within it. And plus, it also just looks really good. I mean, you can't see this piece and just not be like, wow, this looks great. Because, quite honestly, it really does just look that good, no matter what angle you're looking at it from. So on that note, that is our Guardians of the Galaxy Starlord Diamond Select Resin Mini Bust Statue from Diamond Select. I think I said Diamond Select like 12 times in the last 60 seconds. That's usually how these videos wrap up. So that means it's time to go home. So I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. And remember the important words from Zardu Hasselfrau. We are Groot. Thanks for watching. We will see you guys next time.